Okay, so this is a little bit of a different video that we normally make. We had to do a particular project on this particular meal dedicated to the Japanese culture. It is called the Japanese noodle dish, and it is amazing. It is so, so good. So we basically, in this video, tell you exactly how to make it, all the ingredients, and how amazing it is at the end. So I hope you enjoy this video. Always remember to enjoy the journey. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys tomorrow. If you make this dish, let us know in the comments below if you liked it and if it was delicious and it was a big hit in your house. But for us, it was delicious. It's definitely a saved recipe, and we will make it again. Enjoy.
For my restaurant video, I decided that I was going to cook instead of eat out because we eat out enough as it is. So I decided to cook because I enjoy cooking, and I picked something that I thought would be relatively easy. Much to my surprise, the dish I chose, which was ramen, which is a staple in Japanese culture, was a little more complex than I thought. It had more ingredients than I anticipated, but it was a learning experience nonetheless. There's like 12 to 15 different ingredients. First off, you could choose between pork or chicken. We eat a lot of chicken, so we decided to go with pork. And then you have green onions, scallions, ginger, sesame seeds, salt, like every dish, chili powder, Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, sesame oil, 5-spice, Chinese 5-spice blend. This is not coffee, this is sugar, chicken stock, and Chinese noodles. Now one of the garnishes does call for nori or dried seaweed, but we couldn't find any, so we're gonna exclude that from the recipe. One of the garnishes is spinach, so we got some spinach. Now this dish is typically served in a bowl and eaten with chopsticks. And then the broth is, you drink the broth, and that's the meal. Oh, it also includes eggs. Have to boil eggs. It's one of the, it's an, it's an additional garnish on top of the ramen. First, we have to add 700 milliliters of chicken stock. I used to have a bigger measuring cup, but I don't anymore. Now we have to add 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the overflow is just extra love. That's what it's called, extra love. 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. We have to peel our ginger because we're gonna need a thumb-sized piece of ginger, and we don't want all this disgusting skin on there. Wouldn't that really, I mean, when the recipe calls for like a thumb-sized piece of something, how do they know how big my thumb is? It does have a very strong odor. I guess it's a ginger smell, but kind of sweet actually. Now we need half a teaspoon Chinese 5-spice. Boom.
Could you do it again?
That stuff has a very strong odor. Not pleasant either. We gotta add approximately 300 milliliters of water. Yummy. And a pinch, bam, of chili powder. And over here, we're gonna start boiling our eggs. My beautiful assistant. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's a lot more complex than I initially thought, because now we have the broth coming to a boil, we have the eggs boiling, and now we have to bring 6 quarts of water to a boil to add the noodles, and they have to cook for 3 minutes, and then we gotta set them aside. So now we got 3 pots going. It's a lot more difficult than I thought initially. Now that our broth is boiling, we have to bring it down to a simmer, and then once it cools down a little bit, we gotta add some sugar to sweeten it up just a little bit. Now there's no real overwhelming odor coming out of anything. Really, honestly, the only thing you smell is that Chinese 5-star spice that really stands out. Now, see, now we have 4 pans going. Just for a simple ramen dish, remember. We got, this is for the noodles, that's the eggs, that's the broth. Now we have to cook our pork, fry. Seems like the most logical way and the most tasteful way to add the pork to the ramen. Now we have to adjust our broth. This is where the sugar comes into play. I'm gonna try it first before we make any adjustments. And see, it has that taste of that spice. That spice is very overwhelming. overpowers the whole meal. But we're gonna add some sugar and see if the sugar balances out the flavor a little bit, because it's kind of a tarty, spicy kind of flavor. It's hard to explain. It has its own unique flavor. It has that little spice and a little sweet. I think it's a lot better. I'm gonna put a little bit of sesame oil on the pork. We're gonna let it simmer some more. The sesame oil definitely fills the room with its aroma. Smells like a sesame seed, or what you would think a sesame seed would smell like. Smells good, sweet smell actually, sweet taste, and it definitely fills the room. We have to cook our noodles for 3 minutes. Pretty short, pretty sweet. There we go. Now we have to divide the noodles. This should be enough to make 4 portions, so we're gonna put 4. This made a lot more food than I thought it would initially. Top each one off with a little bit of pork. And we're gonna add a little bit of spinach, not many. This is more of a flavor / garnish. So we're gonna add 3 to 4 leaves to each one. Then we gotta add the egg halves. Actually, you know what? No, they're pretty good, pretty perfect. Now we have to drain the stock and bring it to a boil once again. Now, I'm not sure the reason behind this. I think it's to get out the pieces of ginger that you cut up and any chunks. See, it's gonna catch all that ginger. See, the ginger was for flavoring. I was correct. Now we're gonna add the broth to the actual ingredients of the soup. Maybe 2 ladlefuls should be suffice. A little more. Now we top it off, some scallions and a drizzle of sesame seeds. Now, even with all these different things inside, you still get that overwhelming smell of that spice, that 5-star Chinese spice. That's what you smell. That's even with the onions, the eggs, the noodles, the pork, the other things inside the broth, you still only smell that spice. How can I do this? We want a nice hunk of everything. Well, mostly everything. Get a little pork. And when you taste it, with the pork you get a lot of sesame oil taste, which I enjoy, and the sweet and saltiness of the broth. It actually comes together very, very well. That overwhelming smell and that spice that you can't seem to get rid of as you're cooking totally disappears when you actually eat it. Overall, the dish is very good. A lot harder than I thought it was going to make. A lot more pots. We used 5 pots to make just a simple bowl of Japanese ramen. It did turn out well. We made enough for 4 bowls, which is good for a family of 4. This is 1 portion, so it's about, this is a little bigger than your average soup bowl. So it fills it up about halfway, and it's full of pork and eggs and spinach. So overall, very healthy, I would assume. It's probably not very healthy. You know, now that I think about it, it's probably not very healthy.